Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going deep on Neon, a token making waves in the Pulsechain ecosystem.
Yeah.
It's been creating some buzz, so we figured it's time for a deep dive to figure out what it's all about.
Yeah, sounds good.
Now, Neon, it's built on this idea of scarcity driving value. You know how some people say that, like, the less there is of something, the more valuable it becomes?
Right.
Well, Neon takes that concept and cranks it up to 11.
Yeah, they really do.
It's what they call hyperdeflationary, meaning it's designed to decrease its supply rapidly.
And that's what makes it so interesting, right? They've combined this capped supply of just 1 billion tokens with daily auctions.
Oh, wow. I don't think I've seen that before.
Yeah, you don't often see that combination.
So it's like this grand experiment in balancing scarcity with accessibility.
Exactly.
So for those of us who are maybe not as familiar with Pulsechain, can you kind of break down where Neon fits into all of this?
Sure. So Neon is a token that's built on Pulsechain,
Okay.
and its mission is to kind of revolutionize decentralized finance. Like, they're talking about building a more accessible and efficient financial system.
Got it.
But here's where things get really interesting. All 1 billion Neon tokens are released within the first 10 days.
Wow. So right out of the gate.
Yeah, so it instantly kicks off this hyper-deflationary phase.
Okay, so then what happens?
Well, that rapid release, it's crucial for what they call their buy and burn mechanism.
Okay, buy and burn. Tell me more.
So imagine like a pie chart,
Yeah.
and that pie chart is the total supply of Neon with buy and burn. Neon is continuously bought from the market and then permanently destroyed.
Oh, so you're shrinking the pie.
Exactly. You're making the pie smaller and smaller.
Interesting. So I see how this creates that scarcity, but wouldn't that make Neon incredibly volatile?
Well,
And how does this actually benefit the whole Pulsechain ecosystem?
those are great questions. And, Neon's developers, they've thought about that.
Okay.
See, Neon, it doesn't just exist in isolation. It actually bonds liquidity with other major Pulsechain tokens like PLS, PLSX, even HEX.
Well, interesting. So it's like connecting it.
Yeah, it's like forging a strong financial link between them, and that helps to bolster the entire ecosystem.
Oh, okay. So it's not just about pumping up Neon's value. It's also about strengthening the Pulsechain network as a whole.
Exactly. It's a win-win for everybody involved.
Got it. So it incentivizes people to participate and creates this really robust DeFi environment.
Right. And this bonding mechanism, it's a key part of their strategy to mitigate that volatility you mentioned.
Okay.
And ensuring that Neon's success is tied to the health of the overall Pulsechain network.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So let's talk about these daily auctions because I'm really intrigued by that concept. How do they work? What role do they play in all of this?
They are absolutely vital to the whole system.
Okay.
Every single day, a portion of the Neon supply is auctioned off,
Okay.
which ensures this consistent flow of tokens into the market.
Got it.
But here's the crucial part. The proceeds from these auctions, they're used to buy back and burn more Neon.
Oh, wow. So it's like a double whammy.
Exactly. It shrinks that pie chart even faster.
So it's not just about distributing the tokens, it's actively driving that deflation.
Right. And what's great about it is it ensures that Neon is accessible to anyone, not just the big players.
That's a good point.
It helps maintain fairness and encourage broader participation as the project grows.
I like that because I feel like sometimes in the crypto world, it can feel a little bit like the Wild West, you know?
Yeah,
It's good that it levels the playing field.
definitely.
So let's break down the numbers here. We've got 1 billion Neon tokens.
Right.
How are they initially allocated? Where do they all go?
Okay, so the majority, a whopping 900 million of them,
Wow.
were directly channeled into those daily auctions we talked about over those first 10 days.
Okay, that makes sense. And what about the other 100 million?
So we've got 35 million tokens that went towards jump-starting the staking rewards pool.
Okay, and for people who don't know what that is, can you do that?
So basically, this incentivizes users to hold on to their Neon for the long haul,
Okay.
which contributes to the stability of the token.
So it rewards the early adopters for sticking with it.
Exactly.
What about the team behind Neon? Did they get a piece of the pie?
Of course, and this is pretty standard practice with most crypto projects.
Okay.
25 million tokens were reserved for the Neon team,
Okay.
which helps fund their future development and innovation efforts. You need a solid team to keep this ship sailing, especially in a space that's evolving so rapidly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
A strong team is crucial for building trust and, driving long-term success.
Right.
So what about the rest of those initial tokens?
Well, 5 million Neon tokens were paired with PLS to create that initial liquidity pool.
Okay.
And these pools are like the engine that keep trading running smoothly,
Okay.
allowing users to buy and sell Neon without causing massive price swings.
Makes sense.
And lastly, we have 35 million tokens that are reserved for future distribution through dApps.
Oh, so they're thinking ahead.
Yeah, they're planning for the long-term growth and expansion of the whole Neon ecosystem.
Okay, so we've talked about the buy and burn, but there's another piece of this puzzle that we haven't touched on yet, which is Neon's transaction tax.
Ah, yes. Another clever mechanism designed to maintain that deflationary pressure.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
And reward the active participants in the ecosystem.
Okay, break it down for me. How does it work?
Every single Neon transaction, except for additions to liquidity pools, carries a 6% tax.
6%. That sounds like a lot.
It might sound like a lot, but it's actually split 3 ways.
Okay, so where does that 6% go?
2% of it is stored and later swapped for PLS.
Okay.
Which is then added back into those liquidity pools we talked about.
So it's strengthening that infrastructure.
Exactly. It benefits the people who are providing liquidity to the system.
Okay, and what about the other 4%?
Another 2% is given directly to liquidity providers as a reward for their contribution.
Okay.
And finally, the last 2%, well, this is where that shrinking pie chart comes back into play. It's permanently burned. Gone forever.
Wow. So every transaction is actually contributing to that deflation.
Exactly. It incentivizes participation, and it's constantly reducing the overall supply of Neon, which theoretically should push its value up.
Interesting. It's like a silent force working in the background to keep everything running smoothly.
You could see that.
It's a fascinating system, that's for sure. And we've only just scratched the surface.
Yeah, there's a lot more to unpack.
But before we dive any deeper, I think it's time to take a quick pause and let our listeners process all of this information. When we come back, we'll be exploring the potential risks and rewards of this hyperdeflationary model.
Definitely.
And asking ourselves, could this be the future of DeFi?
Good question.
Welcome back, everyone. We just unpacked a lot about Neon.
Yeah, we did.
The cap supply, the buy and burn mechanism, those daily auctions. It all sounds pretty revolutionary.
It does.
But I have to ask, is it all a bit too good to be true?
Well, as with any disruptive innovation, there are inherent risks and rewards to consider.
Right.
And you've hit on a crucial point. This hyper-deflationary model, it's a bit of a gamble.
Okay, so let's talk about those risks. What are some of the potential downsides to this approach? What could go wrong?
One major concern with these types of tokens is their susceptibility to market volatility.
Right, because crypto is...
We all know the crypto market can be a wild ride.
Yeah, it's unpredictable.
Full of unpredictable swings, and when a token's value is tied so closely to scarcity, even small dips in the market can have a magnified impact on its price.
This is a high-stakes game for those who get in early.
Exactly. It's a classic case of high risk, high reward.
So high reward if it works out, but...
Right. And that's where Neon's daily auctions come back into play.
Okay.
By steadily releasing new tokens into the market, it kind of helps to regulate the supply.
Got it.
And hopefully prevents the price from skyrocketing out of control.
So it's like a built-in safety valve.
Yeah, you could say that.
But even with these mechanisms in place, couldn't this rapid price appreciation still create a barrier for new investors?
That's a valid concern. If the price of Neon keeps climbing, it could become harder and harder for newcomers to get on board.
Right, and wouldn't that...
And that could lead to a concentration of wealth among the early adopters.
Yeah, it's almost like a digital gold rush then.
Exactly. The first ones to stake their claim get the most rewards.
That brings up a really important question about accessibility and inclusivity. If Neon wants to revolutionize DeFi, it needs to be accessible to everyone, not just a select few.
Absolutely. The goal of DeFi is to empower individuals and create a more open financial system.
Right.
But if the price of entry becomes too high, it could undermine that vision.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So the question becomes, can Neon strike a balance between scarcity-driven value and widespread adoption?
It's a tightrope walk, that's for sure.
It is.
And it's something that anyone considering investing in Neon needs to think carefully about.
Precisely. Do your research understand the technology, the team behind the project, and most importantly, your own risk tolerance?
Yeah, don't get caught up in the hype.
Exactly. Don't let the hype of a new project cloud your judgment.
Wise words. Okay, so we've laid out the potential risks. What about the flip side? What are the potential rewards of this hyperdeflationary model? What's the upside?
Well, the most obvious potential reward is rapid value appreciation.
Of course.
If Neon's strategy works and demand continues to outpace supply, early investors could see significant returns on their investment.
Right, as the early bird gets the worm.
Exactly.
But beyond just the potential for profit, is there a bigger picture here? What are the long-term implications of Neon's approach for the DeFi space as a whole?
That's where things get really interesting. Neon isn't just about making money.
Okay.
It's about pushing the boundaries of what's possible in decentralized finance. It's a grand experiment in tokenomics, and its success or failure could have ripple effects throughout the entire industry.
So we're not just watching the rise or fall of a single token. We're potentially watching a shift in the way we think about value and scarcity in the digital age.
Exactly. It's about testing new models and challenging the status quo.
So where does that leave our listener who's been soaking up all this information about Neon? What should they take away from all of this?
I think the most important takeaway is the world of DeFi is changing rapidly.
It really is.
New projects are emerging every day, each with its own unique approach and set of promises.
It's almost impossible to keep up.
It can be. It's crucial to stay informed, to do your research, and approach these opportunities with a healthy mix of curiosity and skepticism.
So don't just buy into the hype.
Right. Understand the technology, assess the risks, and make your own informed decisions.
Investing in crypto, it's not a guaranteed path to riches.
Definitely not.
It's a complex and volatile landscape
Absolutely.
that requires careful consideration and a willingness to embrace the unknown.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Now, as we move towards the final part of our deep dive, let's shift gears and delve into a question that goes beyond just the technicalities of Neon.
Okay.
We've talked about its potential to disrupt DeFi. But could this model, with its emphasis on scarcity and rapid value appreciation, ultimately create a system that's too exclusive? Yeah, it's a question worth pondering. Could this pursuit of scarcity while aiming to empower individuals, could it actually lead to a concentration of wealth in the hands of those early adopters?
It's the dilemma isn't the very mechanisms that drive Neon's value, the capped supply, the buy and burn.
Right.
It could also create a barrier to entry for those who don't get in early.
Yeah.
It's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy
Right.
where the rich get richer, but in the digital realm.
So how do we reconcile this tension then between scarcity and value creation and inclusivity?
Yeah.
Is there a way to make sure that the benefits of Neon and DeFi as a whole are distributed more equitably?
That's the million-dollar question. And there are no easy answers.
Yeah.
It's a challenge that the entire DeFi community needs to address.
Yeah.
Perhaps it requires rethinking the fundamental principles of tokenomics, exploring new models that balance scarcity with accessibility. Or maybe it's about building bridges between the crypto world and traditional finance,
Okay.
creating on-ramps for those who are currently excluded.
It's a complex issue with far-reaching implications, for sure. But the fact that we're having this conversation, I think, is a sign of progress. We're recognizing the potential pitfalls and actively looking for solutions.
Exactly. And that's what sets the DeFi space apart. It's a community-driven movement that's constantly evolving and self-correcting.
Yeah.
It's not about blindly accepting new technologies, but critically evaluating them and shaping them to serve a greater good.
So for our listener who's been with us on this journey, what does this all mean? We've taken you deep into the inner workings of Neon, explored its potential benefits and risks, and even grappled with some of the bigger questions facing the future of finance. Where do you go from here?
Well, the journey doesn't end with this deep dive.
Yeah.
This is just the beginning of your exploration.
Oh, okay.
Take what you've learned, dive deeper into the world of Neon and Pulsechain, read the white papers, engage with the community, and form your own opinions.
Knowledge is power.
It really is.
The more you understand about these technologies, the better equipped you'll be to navigate this exciting and often turbulent world of DeFi.
Couldn't agree more.
Don't be afraid to ask questions, challenge assumptions, and think critically about the information that you encounter.
And most importantly, don't be afraid to experiment.
Yeah.
Try out different platforms, explore different projects, and discover what resonates with you.
Exactly.
The beauty of DeFi is that it puts the power back into the hands of individuals.
Right.
It's a chance to shape your own financial future, but it requires active participation and a willingness to learn.
Well said. We've given you the tools and the insights. Now it's your turn to forge your own path in this brave new world of decentralized finance. Who knows? You might just be the one to come up with the next groundbreaking innovation that makes DeFi truly accessible and beneficial for everyone.
That's the beauty of this space. It's full of possibilities.
Yeah.
So go out there, explore, experiment, and most importantly, never stop learning.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Neomen and the Pulsechain ecosystem. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible.